Yo guys, we're gonna get to the Epic 7 tier list in just a sec, but first let's talk about the Amazon Appstore. Not only does it have a ton of your favorite games on there, not just Epic 7 as you see at the top, but it's also available on Windows 11 devices now in the US. Now guys, the Amazon Appstore is gonna give you access to Amazon coins, which will save you up to 20% off your in-game purchases. It's really that simple, so use the links in the description below and in the pinned comment to start saving a ton of money. With that being said, let's get on with the video. What's going on, y'all? Car here, and you're about to watch a tier list made by Valk and I. If you haven't heard of us before or seen one of our videos, we do these for most of the seasons, and this one is going to be for the end of Season 7 leading to Season 8. So current as of the time you're watching this, not for the WC World Championship. This is for RTA, for Champ, Emperor, and Legend players. Aim for them, but of course, anyone watching, guys, if your favorite hero isn't on here, don't feel bad. Most of the units in Epic 7 are viable, even at higher levels, but these are just the ones we like the best or the ones we value the highest in our own personal rating. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and yeah, check it out. All right, Valk, let's get straight into the tier list, and let's go ahead and start with the S rank row. If you would kindly tell us, why are these units in the S rank, and what does S rank mean in the grand scheme of RTA?
So basically, S rank is kind of a representative of some of the best units in the game. Most of these units can fit in almost every single type of playstyle, and for the ones that cannot, they're so good in their playstyle that you would be trolling to play that style and then not pick these heroes.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, if you start off your draft with any one of these heroes, you could probably build a very strong team behind it.
Sure. Let me go ahead and just, for anyone watching, in case you don't know the icons by heart just yet, I'll go and mention them right now, and I'll do that for every row. First up, we have Conqueror Lilius, Hua Young, Ran, Amelia, Bien, Para, Angel of Light Angelica, Apocalypse Ravi, and Mediator Querg. I always want to say his nickname. Hand guy. But Valk, this row we had in our previous tier list, which would cover the end of season, or I guess we did that around what, maybe the later half of Season 7, and then this is going to be the leading into Season 8, where we saw especially the, what is it, the Alencia, Raz, Shu, and Wander Silk patch, right? But our S rank row stayed the same.
Patch with the Soul Weaver base speed change as well.
Yeah.
Some of the Soul Weavers lost a lot of speed, some of them lost a little bit, but overall most of them, I would say, maintained their general power level, with the exception of, for example, like Mega Whales would be able to erase my Pyro with their DN, and now it's a little bit it's a little bit less feasible for them to do that.
So they're gonna stay here for the most part, because the change doesn't affect, most players will keep they'll see the power level of these soldiers stay the same roughly from our last list.
Right.
Anything else you want to mention about the S rank row?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it's still it's pretty much the same as before. So the A rank row, take it away.
Yeah, I would say A rank are heroes that are definitely like the next up in line, and you'll see a lot more like carry units in this row, as well as very niche utility units that are probably, I would say, for example, like Arya, right, where she's really good against half the heroes in the game, and she's terrible against, like, another half of the heroes in the game. But for the half that she's good in, you basically pick her, and if your opponent doesn't ban her, you've just guaranteed to have won the game.
Exactly. And then let's just go through the heroes real fast. It's Bellion, Spectre Tenebria, Ida, Adventure Raz. Is that his full specialty change name? Adventure Raz.
Yeah, Adventure Raz.
We got Rimuru, Politis, Archdemon Mercedes, Archdemon's Shadow, Lionheart Sermia, Solitaria, Landy, Operator Cigarette, Fallen Cecilia, Troublemaker Crozet, Arya, Destina, Alencia, Shu, and Wander Silk. And we mentioned, Valk, right? These three plus the Raz actually got changed around a lot compared to our previous tier list, or we may have not placed them fully because they were prediction based, but Raz for sure I believe we had before in B, and he shot up to become one of the, if not the premier knight, correct?
Right, so it's basically, even if he got no buffs, I think he would have moved up a tier, right? Because FCC for the longest time was the best knight in the game, and due to DJ Bazaar being released and FCC having 2 hard counters now in both DJ Bazaar and Operator Cigarette, so in RTA, if a hero can be countered by 2 heroes, and for example, if you pick FCC, I can just pick both Operator Cigarette and DJB, and that's kind of what we call a pinch, right?
Yep.
So now your FCC pick is pinched, and she hurts your team more than she helps them.
Yeah.
And she's very easily pinched now, but Avenger Ross can't really be pinched. So right now, he's the safest knight to be picking. And in any meta where like standard and bruisers are good, like for example this current one, having a knight that just doesn't have any hard counters is at an all-time premium.
Oh yeah, and slow players, this is your savior. He'll really enable that kind of slow, especially if you like playing 1 or 2 like hard carry DPS. He's just so good right now. So Fallen CC lost some stocks. Valk, I think take us through the changes in particular with the three newest changes that we moved up here: Alencia Shu and Wander Silk.
Yeah, so the biggest thing about Alencia, right, is that even though she didn't have the most significant buffs off her batch, what happened is that she kind of got a little bit of self-sustain, a little bit extra damage. It gave her a lot more artifact freedom, and it just kind of really enabled more build creativity on her, which, considering the fact that we're in a standard meta now where people are stacking buffs again, right, via characters like DN and Landy, having a hero that full strips and can still fit a carry slot like Alencia does is very, very high value.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, because a lot of people were worried that when her buffs came out, me included, that when they nerfed some of the damage, like I remember when she first got buffed and people were testing her, it didn't seem too good, but apparently she's just really, really strong right now. What about Shu?
Shu, I would definitely say I kind of expected her to be good. Her problem mainly is still that, she has a tough matchup into heroes that says cannot be counterattack, and, things like Rimuru, right? But outside of that, on things that can, for example, proc a lot of AoEs or do a lot of extra attacks, right? So if you think about how Avenger Ross likes to soul burn or see Lilius every turn can drag another unit, right?
Yep.
It gives her a lot of chance to proc counters, and just like Archdemon Shadow, right? Once she gets going, it's a lot of damage. For OG players, I just want to remind everybody, right? Back in the days when Green Charles started popping off, man, there was nothing scarier than that. And Shu is definitely the modern day embodiment of that type of playstyle.
I love me some Green Charles. And then last but not least, Valk, this one is something I would never play this hero. Not because I think she looks amazing, but she's definitely the premier speed contest unit now, right?
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, speed imprint, not just speed contest, because that's sort of a different role.
That's the thing, right? And part of what makes her so good is that she's an okay base speed unit with a +10 speed EE.
Yeah.
So a lot of very aggressive players, this is something that's happened to me personally. They draft a very fast Wanderer Silk with a very fast Green Sid, and suddenly both of those units can imprint each other. And that's provided, like, even if you're very anti-cleave in terms of your pre-bans, right? You pre-ban the Ran, you pre-ban Peyra, you could still get cleave with 2 speed imprints being top speed units. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, so that's our new A rank row, guys. This probably got changed one of the mostly because of the addition of these newly buffed heroes, but for the most part, still pretty similar. Just that the patches really started to make a difference. So let's scroll down, and we're gonna go now into the B rank row. Valk, what is the B rank row?
B rank, I would say describe as they're very average at their job, and that's not to say these are average heroes in the game. These are very strong heroes, but in a very competitive setting, if you look at all the heroes that are played competitively by champion players, by emperor players, and legend players, most of these heroes would perform like, I would say, consider average as far as most commonly picked competitive heroes.
Yep, and of course, that being said, the average, they make up the bulk of our list here, and I'm just gonna say their names real fast. It's gonna be a handful or a mouthful, but Designer Lilibet, Desert Jewel Bazaar, Assassin Sid, Closer Charles, Flan, Pavel, Little Queen Charlotte, Summertime Iceria. I always want to say Seaside, but Summertime Iceria, I believe. Shadow Knight, Pilis, Seaside Bologna, Kisei, Kawerik, Remnant Violet, Rem. We got Sage Bale, Rowana, Bloodblade Karen, Arbiter Vildred, Watcher Shuri Ruel, Milim, Strays, Crow, Carrot, Researcher Carrot, Vildred, Spirit Eye Celine, Normal Celine. That's funny, they're next to each other. May Chloe, and then Sid. And Valk, this row actually got changed quite a bit too. We kind of flesh it out a little bit, maybe some slight adjustments if anyone watches from our previous tier list, but still, for the most part, structurally it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything notable that maybe we moved around here that we want to just mention for the viewers out there? I don't think too much got changed. The Kisei and Kowerk interaction with the Soul Reavers getting slightly, you know, not as fast for some of them. Maybe their stock goes up a little bit. But I think for the rest, it's pretty standard. As you really mentioned, they're all the average, you know, stock units, so not too much to write home about.
Right. I would say like probably the two most notable changes that I can think of was DJ Bazaar basically coming out of nowhere and now just being able to invert shields, and on top of that, I think the fact that he can cleanse and boost 30% CR is absolutely ridiculous. A lot of times I play DJ Bazaar into something like Payra. Most of the time you're going to one-shot a Payra if they press S3, so you're threatening a Payra team to not press S3. And if the Payra skips S3, right, and I can CR push all my DPS units by 30% CR, I don't need attack buff to be able to kill my enemies. So I think that's a very nice buff. On top of that, I think Make Chloe is seeing a huge resurgence just because now there are so many ways to play around and to counter Rimuru, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think for new players, it's still going to be a big hurdle, but for very competitive players, right, you're going to have ways like AOL, right? I know a lot of people play Solitaria. Control heroes do very well into Rimuru for a standard player. For Cleave players, Rimuru is just not even a threat, and for aggro players, like a double Soulburn Landy is always just going to dumpster a Rimuru. So having Rimuru be weaker, all of these units that kind of fell out of relevance when Rimuru was released are starting to kind of creep back up in terms of their usage.
Great point. That's a lot of our minor changes that shift up and down. It's not necessarily that the unit got buffed or nerfed. Well, of course, we haven't had nerfs, unfortunately, but the change is just because, you know, another unit is slowly getting pushed out, and so the units they were oppressing, you know, get to move up a little bit. But let's keep moving. Let's get we're getting to the last leg of the tier list here, guys, and this should be very quick. The C rank row, Valk, take us through it.
C rank heroes, I would just say they can be very good at maybe like one job, or they're very mediocre at a lot of jobs. In general, you're going to have better options, but considering cases where you don't have a lot of these options, they'll still get the job done.
Got it. All right, let's go through it real fast. Tempest Armin, Green Armin is how we call her. Judge Kisei, Assassin Koli. We got Elena, Bazaar, Falconer Cleary, Last Rider Crow, Inferno Kawazu, Charlotte, Violet, Briarwitch Iceria, Challenger Dominial, Fairy Tale Tenebria, who Valk will talk about real fast, Zahak, Crimson Armin, Kairon. We got, this is the skin for just Mercedes, Acades, Sinful Angelica, and then Eaton in C rank. So yeah, Valk, we don't want, let's not take too long on this row because these are just the last two rows, but you did mention we did move this girl up quite a bit. She was at the very bottom before, and you actually thought of maybe moving her up even higher, right? Tell the people
right.
Why.
So she was basically at D tier, right? And for the longest time, I think a lot of people just kind of forgotten this unit used to be the best unit in the game by a far margin, right? So what happened was she was pincered by Mediator Kowerk after buff. She's pincered by Designer Lilibet and Fallen Cecilia. So now what happened is Fallen Cecilia kind of received a very indirect nerf with the DJB buff. So now Fallen Cecilia is falling off a little bit. Designer Lilibet isn't really good into too many matchups, and Mediator Kowerk, a lot of times you can pick away or he could eat a ban, right? And with all of these three units not being very common picks, Fallen
Fairy Tale
Tenebria is now is starting to return to form of what she used to look like.
Yeah.
A lot of times, people will pick things and they'll just forget this unit existed, right? She comes out, 270, 280 speed. You don't even have to take the first turn sometimes, right? As long as you got your immunity set, right? She pours tea on them, 4 provokes come out, right?
Yep.
And then they'll attack into you. She shuffles the deck back into them, 4 defense break, and you just won.
Yeah, so get ready, guys. Hopefully you pulled one, and just make sure. She's probably going to make a splash this upcoming season. All right, the D rank row and Valk, I'll actually take over this one. This row, guys, would just be sort of the units that if you play them really well, they can pop off, but they have so many weaknesses that they are the bottom of the tier. That definitely doesn't make them weak heroes. They are just for RTA. If you make it on this list, you're a very strong hero, but for the most part, they have a lot of weaknesses and they're very hard to play. On top of that, guys, those of you watching, if your favorite hero isn't on there, you could probably make a good argument to put them in here if you play them well enough. There's probably just a select few heroes, or maybe more than a select few, that don't belong on any tier list, but for the most part, you know, a lot of heroes have some viability. So let's go through them real quick. It's Leica, command model Leica, Champion Zerato, we got Blood Moon Haste, Holiday Euphine, this is just Fire Ravi, Senya, Pirate Captain Flan, Ambitious Tywin, we got Faithless Lidica, Top Model Lilica, and Luna. So Valk and I also kind of just threw in some favorites that we liked. You guys can throw in whatever, but yeah, Valk, any closing words on the overall tier list?
Yeah, I would just say, like, you know, for D tier heroes, right? I just wanted to serve as an example of just because your hero like might or might not be on a tier list, right? Doesn't mean like you can't make it work, right? For example, there's not that many top model Lilica players, but like Kenny 14 does it insanely well with, you know, with his gear, right? Senya and Pirate Captain Flan, like not a lot of play overall, but Rikazo does it real well, right? So it's just like there's going to be players that make these heroes work, and they definitely fit in some drafts. And, you know, throwing some fan favorites up there, I just kind of want to encourage, you know, general innovation and creativity with RTA drafts, since there's a lot of things you can do if you know what you're doing and how to enable these heroes.
Yeah, guys, if you love a hero, don't give up on them. You could be that kind of player that Valk's mentioning, that, you know, you're known for that character. All right, well, Valk, thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out the Amazon coins and save a lot of money. So we'll catch you next time. Valk, let's say bye to everybody. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, see you guys. See ya.